Oracles of Olympus. Welcome to Oracles of Olympus, the podcast of all things in miniature wargaming, role-playing, board games, and general nerd culture, all with a taste of cynicism, sarcasm, and nerdy banter. Please join Kyle, Ryan, CJ, and GM Drew as we break down all the stuff.
Hi everybody, thanks and welcome to our episode 5 of Oracles of Olympus. I am GM Drew, your host.
Can you believe we made it 5 episodes?
We did!
Episode 5, the podcast.
We haven't imploded yet?
I hope we're getting better.
Like the Praetorian Guard of Rome? We all descend upon each other and murder each other?
Yeah, if we're not choosing a new emperor, we're killing each other.
Yeah.
Basically. That's pretty much the Praetorian Guard's role. Sweet history lesson.
CJ is back with us this week.
Hi everyone, I'm back.
You went to LVO.
I did go to LVO. I'm back. I'm slightly more bankrupt. But I saw a lot of crazy things.
Some real weird stuff.
Yeah, there were some strange things. I got hustled out of $43.
Exactly $43.
Luckily, my compatriot who was traveling with me didn't have money, so he didn't get hustled out of money. But
I heard that
I love
story.
you, G. If you're listening.
He's not. He told me he doesn't listen anymore because he just hangs out with us at the store and hears everything anyway.
There you go. That sounds right.
Gee, you little
Gnome.
Can't support our efforts.
He's got that gnome magic.
He's just like, yeah.
So for our friends listening who don't know our other friend who goes by the name of G, he is a gnome actually.
He
A
is?
dire gnome.
He is a dire gnome,
Yeah.
which is just a larger gnome.
Yeah, it's a larger, more beardy gnome.
He's too big to be just a regular gnome, but too small to be a human.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
That's
So
why he's
he's
a dire
Or a
gnome.
dwarf.
Dire
He's a dire gnome, not a snurvnibblin.
Yes, correct. He is a dire gnome.
Which
A
is
Zwerf
not
Neblin? Is that what you mean? A
Yes,
Zwerf Neblin?
that.
Jesus. How are you a GM?
I don't
you
know.
can't even say Zwerf Neblin?
I've never put them in an adventure.
For those of you
because
that don't know, Zwerf Neblins are deep gnomes.
I did
Which
know that.
has absolutely nothing to do with height, just skin color. But, you know.
Right, and evilness.
And evilness. Well, they're not really, I mean, Zwerf Neblin are, you know, it's perspective, right? They're not necessarily evil. Just don't come
From a
crowding up
certain point of view.
Yeah, just don't crowd into their shit, man. Like, just don't break into some Zwerf Neblin minds and you'll be fine, man. You'll be alright.
Yeah.
But dire gnomes are good for conjuring random things like
They are, like,
they blank bags, scavenging blank bags. What else are they good at conjuring, Kyle?
car whiskey.
Car whiskey.
Yeah, you can always count on a
That's a
dire
good
gnome
one.
to have, like, a bottle of car whiskey around.
Yeah. Like a random thing of mud you can use on your basing when you
Yeah,
need it.
right? Like, I've
But
got
I
this tub of
heard
mud.
Dad's Cafe is really good.
It is good. I like Dad's Cafe.
Shout out to Dad's Cafe.
Yeah, which is like...
Robert, if you're listening and you want to come on, we'll have you on the podcast talk about Dad's Cafe.
There you
Sure.
go.
I've never been there, but I've
It's
heard
good.
great things.
Yeah, it's great food.
It's all like kind of like homemade and kind of natural foods. It's nice. It's
Nice.
tasty.
Which is
So,
unusual. and
we're glad you're back,
Cheyenne.
CJ.
I'm glad
You were
I'm back,
missed.
too.
It went a little dark last week.
Did it?
Yeah, we got a little deep. Weird.
Super deep.
That's rare. Normally
Kyle,
that's when correction
like
CJ's
elbow
here.
deep.
Kyle's really excited to be here this morning.
Yeah, I am. I'm super full of you know, a real zest for life today. And
it's Super Bowl
I'm
Sunday.
definitely excited about Super Bowl Sunday. I'm looking. Today's Super Bowl Sunday as we record this, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing the Eagle men shoot a home run. So
I thought you were going to say just the next coronation of Brady and Belichick. Like, basically watch the
you know,
the Patriots humiliate a pheasant. Sorry, eagle. Today.
I just I super don't care. I'm a hockey guy. I'm not a football guy. And my hockey team is doing really crappy right now, so I'm just kind of done with sports.
I'm a
for the
football guy, but the
being.
Patriots have literally stolen all joy from my life. Like, every team I remotely cared about has been defeated.
Yeah,
Like, most of them by the Patriots.
I guess for me, like, it's less exciting to watch when it's like, And this year's Super Bowl is the Patriots versus some other team.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like every time I turn around, it's the Patriots.
I feel like every year when everybody, who doesn't watch football, they say, "Oh, I just watch it for the commercials." But if you were to watch these commercials outside of the Super Bowl, they're not that good.
No, they're not.
I think they're funny because you're with friends and stuff like that, and everybody laughs together. But
I think those people say that because they don't want to admit they actually like football.
I don't care about the commercials or the football.
See,
Kyle's honest.
I will be really honest though. What I do care about, the best part of Super Bowl, the food.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I made homemade salsa.
I'm going
already.
full.
Yeah,
fat
the
kid
food
on
is
this
good.
one.
I'm making chili today. So
Yeah.
You know what my Super Bowl Sunday is? I'm going to go paint.
I want to go paint, but I need to go and handle this whole Super Bowl food stuff. So
tell them what you're gonna do, Kyle, at the Super Bowl party.
I'm I'm gonna be the coolest guy you've ever invited to a Super Bowl party. I'm gonna build gray knights while I'm there. I'm like, I'm putting together my plastic men. Look at me build.
And you're the only gamer that's going to be there. Right?
No, I'm not. There'll at least be one. I know John will be there. John Thede.
Oh, Thede.
Right.
Thede will be there.
So he'll get it.
He'll
understand.
get it. He'll know what's up, but he'll watch because I think he's a Patriots fan.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know.
What happened to John? I thought he was a cool guy.
You know what? And John, I gotta be honest, man. Patriots fan, and I know you like the Caps secretly. The Capitals from hockey.
Oh my
They're
God.
like the Patriots basically of hockey. They're just super douchey. Like nobody wants to be their friend. So John, this is my way of kind of having an intervention for you with everyone who's listening to this podcast. Buddy, we need to get you out of the Patriots and the Caps. We need to get you into some real good, wholesome teams.
We need to get you to teams that lose.
Yeah, teams that lose.
It teaches
so that's the difference.
builds character when
the
your
difference
team
between the
gets
Caps and the
butt kicked.
Patriots is the Caps do lose.
Yeah.
They choke every year in the playoffs, which is it. I mean, it makes me exceptionally happy.
It's like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Basically, yeah.
They can win every game.
Yeah,
and
no,
then lose
they'll
the
crush
first
it, and
game
then
of
they
the
get into
playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
they just crush it, and then when they actually get into games that matter, they just choke. Real hard.
Like what? It's like we've had a play that we ran every year that was successful. Let's not run that.
Yeah, right. Like,
Let's try this one we never tested before. Damn it! It failed again.
All right. So
Okay.
this is a gaming
Moving on.
podcast. Let's.
yeah, right. We're like talking about this is your sports news brief today, guys.
Okay, for those who hate sports, sorry, we're back.
Ryan, how are you?
I hate sports.
Okay.
Do you like any sport, Ryan? On this day of American sports holidays.
I do like hockey, but the thing about hockey is like I never have time to watch games, or I never have time to like go see a hockey game. So I'm like, I like the general sport of hockey, but I don't know a thing about it.
We'll fix that for you next year.
Oh, okay, good.
Kyle forcibly taught me how hockey works, which I had no idea how it works.
It's so good.
But a certain number of hours at a Buffalo Wild Wings, and I now understand the basics.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Like
It's
I
a fun
even
game.
have
It's
a
a lot
friend
of fun,
who refs hockey in leagues, and
We even know some people that sports announce hockey.
We do.
Yeah, a couple of them. Chris Heath.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I'm gonna totally get your name wrong because I always switch it between Eli and Levi.
E. Levi.
Don't we have a couple regulars with each of that name?
Yeah, right. We have, and that's why I'm always mixing them up. I feel really bad about it. It's just like the one thing that my brain is not wired to do is differentiate between the two names.
Anyway, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with gaming news.
Do you need more kick-ass gear for your gaming? Come to Olympus Games and Comics. We've got awesome stuff like Dreadnoughts and Lehman Russ battle tanks. Do you need to purge more heretics? Pick up a Dreadnought. Maybe you need to kick some serious ass with Primaris Marines.
All right, we're back, and let's talk miniatures news to start out with.
Shit, yeah.
Thousand Sons Codex. Go.
Can we just talk about this for all the day?
No, I've actually got
Well,
something.
hold
Playing
on.
games.
Let's get the boring stuff out of the way. Custodes jetpacks came out, which are great.
They're
They're beautiful.
Veritas Praetors. If you are playing an Imperial army and you don't have 3 to 6 Veritas Praetors, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong. They're so good. I don't understand how you don't take them because they're so phenomenal. Like,
And they're
literally
amazing models.
You literally just bring them as a one-off detachment. Like you spend one command point to get an extra fast attack from those guys, and you bring them because they're basically if you're not familiar with these guys, they're custodians on jet bikes with and I'm not even kidding, the worst gun that they could possibly have is a hurricane bolter. Right? That's like the Schlumminate of guns for these guys.
They're everything you want, and they're here right in front of you.
I like to think of them as jet bike mounted Gornados of death and hatred. I feel like they bring.
And I don't think they're badly priced.
No, they're not. Yeah.
Fairly big models for $60. I think it's
I
actually.
actually thought they were going to be a lot more. I thought they were going to be like 80 or 100. I appreciate that they bring the Emperor's hatred and swift retribution on jet bike, and that makes me very happy.
So go ahead and get them. But now let's move to one of the most exciting
stuff.
things that's ever happened to the game ever.
Because let's be honest, the Custodes are old news now.
Yeah, they're so old news. I'm already over.
That's
Custodes.
some last week stuff.
Yeah, I mean I'm still building them, but I'm my true love, or at least my true love of the past couple of years is here now. Delicious Thousand Sons.
Yeah.
With their brand new first ever in the game Codex, Thousand Sons, and oh my god, it's. So, hands down, this has got to be the most beautiful codex I've ever seen. The art in here is phenomenal. The miniatures in here are all phenomenal. Great studio paint jobs. The rules, phenomenal. This is just A+ book all around.
There's only one detriment to it.
That I don't have this 4 weeks earlier.
No, I was going to show you the super exciting Rhino paint job.
You know, honestly, I like that Rhino paint job because it's super plain. Like that Rhino speaks to me. So obviously you guys can't see it. But
they took a box and they dry brushed it blue, and then they put 2 yellow circles on it.
Yeah, and basically it's a stock Imperial Rhino just with a Chaos Guy in the cupola, and it's got a spikier ram. But what I like about that Rhino in its simplicity is that it says you don't have to have spikes all over your shit to be Chaos. And I love that because
true.
I'm not a huge fan.
It just
of
doesn't have enough
spikes
decoration on it for me, and maybe that's because I was started off as an Emperor's Children player.
I think it
needs a tremendous amount more of ornamentation.
Sure, I mean I get that. I mean it's definitely a very plain Rhino, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I got back from rehab and they got all of the warp dust out of my system, and now I'm a Thousand Sons guy.
That war on warp dust.
Yeah, war on warp dust.
Before you get into the crunchy bits, which I know you guys love, Fluff.
So great.
Tell me a little bit about who are the Thousand Sons.
Oh boy! Did you just open a can of worms?
I don't understand, but go.
Okay.
So it all started with this place called Prospero.
10,000.
Okay, so I'll tell the lore and then Kyle can tell the rules. So you have they were one of the original legions during the Great Crusade. They're helping conquer the galaxy.
It's really the best crusade, making the galaxy great.
They were making the galaxy great again. And sorry. I just got that image.
It's too easy.
Of the Emperor, like, giving out red hats, and he's got, like, the banners on the ships and stuff.
He's
yeah.
orange.
Yep. He's, like, super sunburnt. Anyway. Oh, yeah, that's just a great image. I see a conversion that would need to happen now. All it needs is a head swap.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Moving on.
Okay, so the Thousand Sons are the 15th Legion. They are one of the original legions helping conquer the galaxy. They are the original good guys, folks. #Magnus did nothing wrong.
It's true.
It's actually
it is true. So
the Emperor,
basically,
the Emperor's a dick.
Yeah, the Emperor's a massive dick. Don't let him tell you otherwise. If you don't believe me, ask the word bears. So
blessed Monarchia.
Basically, the Thousand Sons were always a very small legion. They were always very proficient in psychic power and sorcery. And the Emperor bans them from using psychic powers at the Council of
Turns
Nicaea.
out he's a giant boner kill.
Yeah, he is. And
Spoiler
giant
alert.
hypocrite. So ultimately, the Thousand Sons are forbidden to do sorcery, and they learn about Horus's rebellion and the impending civil war, and they try to warn the Emperor to save the Imperium, but they do it through sorcery. And the Emperor's so mad that they betrayed his edict that he doesn't even listen to their message. Instead, he condemns them to die.
He basically just hits delete on that voicemail before he even knows
Yep.
what it's about.
He didn't
He didn't even listen to the audio translation.
No.
Like, he was just like, nope. Super angry.
Decline. So he sends the Space Wolves to bring the Thousand Sons to heal. and it leads to one of the more famous battles
Possibly the coolest battle.
Probably the coolest battle in the lore.
It's really phenomenal. Like, both sides, I love the Space Wolves. I love the Thousand Sons. They're both really fun. Yep. I love watching them kill each other mercilessly.
And think of this kind of biblical ending battle where, fire and brimstone raining from the sky, and the Thousand Sons homeworld of Prospero, which is take ancient Egypt and make it like a paradise. So it really was kind of a paradise world.
It's like Egypt, but not crappy.
Now. And amazing libraries, repository of knowledge all over the galaxy, and the Space Wolves burn it all. They're like, nope, not having any of this reading. So
the Space Wolves, if you don't need any of these books,
I'm going to touch them.
We've taken all of their treasures and gold, and now we will burn their libraries.
So
these books are what led them astray.
The Thousand Sons, even though they're the original good guys, they get beat up pretty good in this battle. And ultimately, at the end, the Chaos God Tzeentch, who'd always been kind of manipulating them behind the scenes.
He's really the nicest of the gods.
He really is the nicest. Yeah. He's the most reasonable of the gods.
He's a change that we can get behind.
He is the change we can believe in.
Yeah, Tzeentch change. Hashtag change.
So Tzeentch offers them a deal at the very end before they're annihilated to Magnus, their Primarch, that he can still save them. And they accept the deal, and they're teleported, all of them, instantly to this planet in the warp called the Planet of the Sorcerers. It's in the Eye of Terror where Chaos hangs out. And fast forward 10,000 years, they are super bitter, super angry, still love libraries and books.
Yeah, I mean, they're still
really hate
big
Space
fans
Wolves.
Of reading.
Yeah, they're big readers.
They're not into e-reading though.
They're not into e-reading.
No, they're the old-fashioned,
they like the smell of
dusty
the book.
page.
So a minor thing that explains how they play and some of their rules, which Kyle will get into here, is that you have something called the Rubric of Ahriman. Ahriman was their first librarian, kind of first captain. And as they're in the warp, these warriors, as sorcerers, the Thousand Sons, start mutating and becoming like Chaos Spawn and terrible mutants. And Ahriman wants to stop that. So he creates this spell called the Rubric of Ahriman. And it has an unfortunate side effect that it turns all of the regular Thousand Son warriors into dust trapped inside their armor.
Which he could never have known. Hashtag Ahriman's not guilty.
Yeah. Hashtag Ahriman did nothing wrong. He was just trying to help. And so basically what happens is Magnus finds out their Primarch, the leader of the Legion, super angry, and he banishes Ahriman and the sorcerers that did this. And he now has a legion of dust.
Basically copying Daddy.
Yeah, no.
Right? Like, hashtag Magnus is a punk.
Yeah, hashtag Magnus is a punk. Yeah. So that gets us to way the army plays, because the Thousand Sons, the regular troops, they are basically dust inside their armor. And they're not really as sentient as they used to be. They're kind of ghosts. And in their mind, they're always fighting the Battle of Prospero, where they're kind of stuck at a point in history. So
I love it.
And they're guided by the sorcerers that are not turned to dust.
They're probably, like, in my opinion, the coolest fluff background in 40K.
Yeah.
Like, they have a lot of really rich background, and it doesn't hurt that they've got a lot of novels and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, diving into the rules. Warriors of Lost Prospero. God, this book is so fluffy and full of flavor. I love it. It's delicious. So, just abilities you get for rocking out the sweet Thousand Sons. You get Death to the False Emperor, basically like all the other Chaos guys. You get those hit rolls of 6. You get to generate extra attacks against Imperium troops. Then you get Demonic Rituals, where your Thousand Sons characters can summon Tzeentch demons. That's pretty standard, I think, at this point. The other abilities you have for the Sons of Magnus, you get the Brotherhood of Sorcerers. This is possibly, I think, the coolest ability in the entire book. It's just stock plus 6 inches range to all your psychic powers. Like, it basically just turned all of your psychers up to 11. It makes their smites just that little extra bit more potent, which I really appreciate, because they're not a very fast-moving army. They're pretty slow.
You have 24-inch smite.
Yeah, 24-inch smites.
Oh, that's good.
Really good. You're basically smiting things on turn 1 as long as you've moved up the field.
So you're going to outsmite and outrange anybody other psychic armies.
Yeah, because you're gonna have lots of psychers.
With the exception of Grey Knights can make theirs double range, so 24 inches. Yeah,
Grey Knights.
So they tie them.
So you also get the Disciples of Tzeentch. Units with this ability basically just get objective control, or objective secured rather, which, you know, that's kind of standard basically at this point for any of the codices. The interesting thing about this is it says a unit with this ability. It doesn't specifically say troops get it. So it's all your units have OBSEC, which I think is a really big deal. That's super nice. There's some really great warlord traits. I think the one that stands out to me more than any of the others is Otherworldly Presence, which improves your warlord's invulnerable save by 1 to a maximum of 3.
So it gives, which Ahriman has. So he has a 3-up info because he has a Sigil of Corruption.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I don't see a way that I don't want to just take Airman all the time now.
Yeah.
With 3-up and vulnerable save, he's so much more resilient. I think he's phenomenal. You also have, like, you could add one to psychic tests for some of the warlord traits. There's another one where you could reroll fail deny the witch, and another one where you get to add an additional psychic power, which is pretty cool. The additional psychic power is one that Magnus comes with stock. As far as stratagems, they've got a lot of really cool stratagems. They have a web-way stratagem. So this is kind of one of the things I'm starting to see a lot more with all the new codices. There's like a deep strike stratagem in every codice, which I think is really big because it really changes the dynamic of the game and gives you a lot more potential movement. And so you can kind of strike from different areas that your opponent might not have thought of.
And they got most of the basic chaos ones, like Kill Shot and Fire Frenzy,
Yeah,
stuff like that. Demon
things,
Forged.
Yeah, things that they got in addition to things like the Boon of Tzeentch, which is pretty sweet. Basically, anytime for one command point, anytime you've had one of your characters slay an enemy character, vehicle, or monster, you get to roll 2d6 and check out this chart. And it's everything from becoming a Chaos Spawn, which is obviously the worst, to a full Demon Prince, which is the best.
And I think we have to point out kind of the most fluffy of all of them is the Flesh Change stratagem.
The Flesh
Have
Change.
you looked at that one?
I have looked at the Flesh Change. Yeah, so the Flesh Change is...
That was what was destroying the
really
Legion,
great.
and that's why Araman cast the Rubric.
Yeah, so for 1 CP, you can pick any Thousand Sons infantry character from your army. The character is immediately slain, and you add a Chaos Spawn to your army. If you do so, you get to set up the Chaos Spawn within 6 inches of the character before removing them as a casualty. The Chaos Spawn created in this manner must have the Tzeentch keyword, but does not cost any reinforcement points in a match play. So it's basically an extra free spawn.
I don't see it being terribly useful unless you have like a guy down to 1 wound and you know he's probably going to die.
Yeah, I think only if you really are kind of desperate to get some extra combat, because I would always rather have a psyker than a giant gibbering mass of spawndom.
I can see it be
favorite.
fun just for giggles in some games. You know, if you were playing a game that was not as serious or not a competitive tournament game, it could be just kind of funny to do if you had a guy that was about to die.
Yeah, and so we also get we're back to having sweet items again. We have relics now for the Thousand Sons. The one that I'm really excited about, I think the best one, in my opinion, is the Helm of the Third Eye. Helm of the Third Eye is just phenomenal. It says, if your army is battleforged and the wearer is on the battlefield, roll a d6 each time your opponent uses a stratagem. On a 5+, you gain 1 command point. So you can literally, you're not removing them from your opponent so much as gaining a little bit of a buffer when your opponent uses stratagems, and I love that idea. It feels very Tzeentch, very changey. I think it's really cool. Overall, you're basically looking at kind of a lot of the staples for Chaos in this book, which is really nice, because unlike the Death Guard, these guys actually got access to some of the different vehicles that they, for whatever reason, decided the Death Guard couldn't get. So you're definitely able to pick up things like Helldrakes, Mauler Fiends, which I think is a huge advantage for Thousand Sons. I now need to go make some Thousand Sons Mauler Fiends, because man, I really love that. But I think the new thing that everyone's going to be most excited about is the Mutalith Vortex Beast. The Mutalith Vortex Beast is a heavy support, which is not something you're really ever starved for in Thousand Sons. They're only 150 points, and they have crazy buffer abilities. Basically, every turn you want to use these guys, you roll a d6. On a 2-up, they get to roll on a random chart, which has all sorts of stuff, from and then dishing out mortal wounds to your enemies, to buffing the AP of your troops, and all kinds of cool things like that. The nice thing is, if you successfully manifest one of these powers, you get to do it a second time. So you're almost always going to get 2 powers out of these guys. And they're just great buffers. They're a huge slab of wounds. They're going to be around for a while. And yeah, I mean, they seem good. They seem like an auto-include to me. I feel like I want to take at least 2 of these guys. Yeah. They're just phenomenal. Yeah, Thousand Sons, 10 for 10, man. I really love this book. I think it's going to be great. Zangors,
I think
are going to be
the
really,
other honorable
really
mention would be the Zangor Enlightened and the Shamans, because I think they add a lot to the army.
Yeah, the Zangor Enlightened and the Shamans are your sweet Zangors on disc. And yeah, they're phenomenal. They've actually got some great stuff. They've got a really solid bow, the Fate Caster Great Bows, 24-inch range, assault 2, strength 5, -1 to AP, only 1 damage, which is not great, but I mean, it gives you a nice speedy option. These guys get to move 12 inches a turn, and they're still hitting on 3s.
Basically gives you like a jet bike option, which in an army that's so slow is nice to go score things.
Yeah, and it's good because the Great Bow is also an assault weapon, so you can constantly kind of be like boosting around with these guys. They come with 5-up invulnerable saves. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, anytime, the other cool thing is they have the Guided by Fate rule. Anytime you make a hit roll of 6+ for a model in this unit, except for the discs that they're riding, you do not make a wound roll for the attack. It is automatically successful. Saving throws may be attempted against these attacks as normal. So basically, if you hit on 6s, you're golden, because you don't even have to make the wound roll. You just auto wound at that point, which is really, really nice. I think these guys are just phenomenal. The other really big kind of thing to me is the Zangor Enlightened, and I think the actual regular Zangors have the Heretic Astartes keyword.
They do.
And that's really big, because that means that they're also getting the extra attack when they hit on 6s.
And the stratagems will work on them, a lot of them.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are really good. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of Zangor heavy Thousand Sons armies. The Day of the Cultists, CJ, is finally dead.
Not for me.
Well, you can
just
take
like
cultists, but they're just not as good as Zangors now, and I think that's been
just like in my mind,
proven.
Kyle, it's always Constantinople. In my heart, it is.
It's always Constantinople in my mind as well. It's not Istanbul, but that aside, Zangors are definitely phenomenal right now.
They are good.
Very good stuff.
What's the news that came out about Necromunda yesterday?
So this is actually from a couple days ago. The Forge World Open was a few days ago, and they started spoiling all kinds of stuff. And I think the things that they've spoiled that we're probably most excited about would be the Necromunda stuff that they've got going on. So they announced the next few gangs that we're getting, and they showed some concept art, which is really cool. So the House Condor concept art, really, really slick. I liked the House Delok concept art as well. Mm-hmm. Probably the biggest thing that we're going to get, though, is they're expanding Necromunda past just the gangs. So they're bringing back things like a police force, which they're calling the Paladite Enforcers now. But they're also bringing
Chaos Uprising.
Yeah, there's going to be Chaos
Mutants.
Uprising, Mutants, and Gene Stealer Cult are going to have some rules in White Dwarf, but they're also bringing in new guilds. So I'm not sure exactly
The Corpse Guild?
Yeah, the Corpse Guild makes me so happy.
Yep.
I'm not sure what the guilds exactly are, other than just, maybe a different version of gangs, but we know that there's going to be a Water Guild, a Promethean Guild, and a Corpse Guild, which, how are you not the most excited about the Corpse Guild?
Gastown also.
It's
for
Gastown,
Promethean,
yep. The Promethean Guild will be cool, but the Corpse Guild, I feel like they have the best job, because they're the guys who sell you the skulls that you use to build your breakfast.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't build all those fancy walkways and buildings without all those skulls.
No.
We also know that we're going to get Outlander gangs, which will be sweet. I think we're going to have a really cool Mad Max feel. And we do know that there's going to be a lot of cool new bounty hunters coming out. And I think the big one, of course, that they've spoiled is the Squat.
Yeah.
Which, if you're not familiar with Squats, basically they're space dwarves. And his name's like Gildan Gilderson or something like that. It's a super stereotypically dwarvy name.
And they did a funny video that, if you haven't seen, check it out, about the squat clock breaking at Games Workshop.
Absolutely. Go to Warhammer TV and check out that video about the squat clock. Interestingly enough, confirmed or not confirmed, I guess, there's a Sisters of Battle, plastic Sisters of Battle clock, and that's like 5 minutes till midnight on that clock.
That was pretty funny. Either they're messing with us or there's some truth to it.
So here's the thing, right? So for about a year now, they've been fucking with us.
Yeah.
About Plastic Sisters.
Yeah.
Because it's the one thing that people constantly ask for. Because if you remember, last November, so November 2016, so I guess a little more than a year ago, right, is when they spoiled Magnus, because someone had found pictures of Magnus and leaked them. So in response, they were like, we're just going to spoil Magnus, and they pull him out of a trash can, like a fully painted studio Magnus. Like, oh, there's a Magnus laying around this trash can. Oh, that's weird. And then, but while they're, like, basically, they show the Magnus, and everyone, like, you're basically flabbergasted. And
there's like a box that says Plastic Thunderhawk.
Yeah, right. Like, but like they're digging around in a trash can, and he goes, "Oh, look, Plastic Sister models." Like, so they've been kind of throwing this out there for a while, really just tugging on our heartstrings. I want Plastic Sisters really badly.
I will say, it's worth noting for any of our Horse Heresy fans out there, that Rogel Dorn just came out. Man, is he good looking.
And they spoiled Alfarius.
Constantine Valdor.
My only regret on the Alfarius model is it doesn't have Rogel Dorn's chainsword buried in his head. So,
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert if you haven't gotten that far in the books. Rogel Dorn kills Alfarius. But,
allegedly.
Now we're going to get hate mail.
It's really not allegedly. Like, it's fairly black and white in the book. Yeah. It's just like super gory. He just literally buries a chainsword in that guy's head. He's very dead.
Horus and his brother Omegon also realize, like, oh shit, Alpharius is dead.
There's definitely a scene where Horus and Omegon are talking. They're like, whoopsie.
Yep.
Guess we shouldn't have let him fight the really big mean one.
The really big, angry, like, hard-strong one with the chain sword that's like the size of a rhino.
They're like, shit, he's like their best fighter. I guess we shouldn't have sent our smallest guy after him. Whoops.
Whoops-a-doodle.
Mistakes were made. But yeah,
I do have to say, Rogel Dorn's model I absolutely adore.
I'm not an Imperial Fist fan by any means. I'm an Iron Warrior through and through. I hate the Imperial Fists. I do respect the Rogel Dorn model. He is very handsome model.
Yeah. I kind of want it just to paint. It's pretty.
So
I wouldn't go that far, but
I have some D&D news finally.
Yeah, I mean, there's a really
Sorry,
big...
Drew. We're talking about cool stuff.
No, I'm talking about WotC is very sparse on their the releases these days.
I think they're kind of sparse on it. They're sparse on D&D releases because they're flooding the market with Magic releases, and they're trying to put out the fire that is Magic the Gathering right now. I mean, Magic the Gathering. For those of you guys that don't know, if you're not big on Magic the Gathering, Magic over the past couple of years has had a lot of releases, and they're kind of cramming them together. So if you're sad there's not a lot of D&D, it's because Magic.
Well, actually not. I disagree with that.
I think it's very much that, because they've doubled the amount of Magic they put out.
Yeah, but it's two maybe same company, but two different entities, right? So
no, it's the same entity. It's like two departments within Wizards.
Right. Well, that's my point. But I think what they did is because they flooded the market with 4th edition books, is the power creep went way too fast. I think they're trying to slow down the game and not push the 6th edition because they've already put out all the rules for.
See, I don't see it as that. I think what they're doing. So the reason that we see less D&D books is because they're tying the D&D books into the Magic releases.
That's just recent, though.
Yeah, but it's over the past couple of years. It's been 2 years since Magic started flooding the market. It's been 2 years now, going into the 3rd year that D&D's been out for 5th edition. Because when you look at the campaigns, I feel like it became really noticeable with Curse of Strahd. So Curse of Strahd is a vampire themed campaign. And it came out the exact same time as Shadows over Innistrad came out for Magic. And Innistrad is a plane in Magic that is, you guessed it, full of vampires. And there's literally even crossover material to bring your Curse of Strahd campaign to the plane of Innistrad from Wizards. And then if you look at the campaign after that, we're like, Tomb of Annihilation was the next one?
Yeah.
So
but
Tomb of Annihilation...
how many Magic sets were in between those two books?
That's it. There's one other. There's 2 other sets between those 2 books. So they're not as quick on the D&D side for sure. But like the next D&D book that came out is it's
dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's all dinosaurs, pirates, and jungle, which coincided with the release of Ixalan, which you guessed it is dinosaurs, pirates, and jungle. I think it's very much tied into Magic. I think the two are very close because they're trying to kind of push, in my mind, this kind of link where you can. I mean, Magic is very much open to that sort of hopping around to different planes, and D&D's got different planes, and I think that they kind of want you to play both, right? Like a lot of people do play both, and they want to kind of present an opportunity for you to have your D&D game set in the fantastic world that is Magic. Because if you have never checked out the background to Magic the Gathering, I highly recommend it. There's a great story there. It's really phenomenal.
So they just announced, I think as of yesterday or the day before, and Greyhawk fans will finally be happy, they announced Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, which looks like they've taken the writings of Mordenkainen, who was a great wizard, and is basically the Gandalf of Greyhawk, and kind of Gandalf mixed with Doctor Strange.
Yep.
And made another monster manual.
Yeah, another monster manual. So, real quick, explain Greyhawk to those of our listeners who are maybe new to D&D and maybe only know Forgotten Realms.
So, what I know about Greyhawk, and I don't know a whole lot, is that it was Gary Gygax's campaign setting.
Yeah.
And it became what the organized play world for years that the RPGA played in. There's a lot of lore in that. I'm not familiar with a whole lot of it, but essentially it's what people knew for years and years, and playing. If they didn't want to play in Forgotten Realms, they were playing in Greyhawk.
And I've certainly played in Greyhawk. I'm more a Forgotten Realms kind of guy, but Greyhawk is definitely still a good setting.
So apparently this book is taken from the writings of Mordenkainen and a bunch of new monsters to throw at your people. So I always like that. I mean, players get pretty familiar with what's in the monster manual and now what's in Volo's guide, so it's always fun to throw new stuff that they don't know what their powers are or their weaknesses are. So that's exciting. That comes out in May.
I think it's great because basically it's the first book we're getting for D&D this year, and we haven't had a book since
November.
Yeah, quite a while now.
Which is, I was looking at the release schedule. In the previous years, they've released a book in November, kind of the Christmas book, and then they've done one in March. And this one's 2 months behind, so not sure what's going on there, but maybe it's I wonder what's coming out for Magic then.
So the next thing for Magic is Dominaria, and that is kind of like I guess I'd call it like the OG kind of plane for Magic.
Okay.
It is the first plane that Magic's story really was set on. So it's kind of like a back to basics sort of storyline for Magic. What they will have as far as what kind of cards and things like that will come out in Dominaria. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar enough with the plane of Dominaria to really get into that.
When does that come out?
Dominaria we will see start coming out in May.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing with this book. It's like the OG Greyhawk is the original setting, back to basics type of thing.
You may be onto something, Kyle.
I mean, if I was the company who owned the largest role-playing game IP in the world and the largest collectible card game IP in the world, I would certainly co-promote them.
I guess I'm just confused.
They're very natural fits to each other.
I'm confused how it lines up because D&D has slowed down, but you're saying Magic has been flooded. How does that match up?
How does it matter? Because I think they're just matching the D&D releases to Magic releases. So I think they just go, cool, this is going to be our flagship set for this year, right? Like, this is going to be the cool thing. Let's tie a D&D book into it.
Okay.
Right? And obviously some settings lend themselves more to D&D than others do, right? So we had 2 sets in between Curse of Strahd and Tomb of Annihilation, right? And those sets were the Aether Revolt set, which is totally Eberron. It's very much like an Eberron setting. There's steam power and everything. Yeah, right? I was surprised there wasn't
Where's
an Eberron
my Eberron book?
Right, and
Watsy,
then we had...
if you're listening and you'd like to come on the show, I would love to know the status of Eberron.
I also really love Eberron. I'm a big steampunk fan, so Eberron is totally also in my jams. The other set we had, the other block I should say we had, was the Amonkhet block, which totally is kind of a Thayan sort of thing. It's set in the desert. It's kind of essentially it's Magic's Egypt. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your foot there.
Oh, you're fine.
It's Magic's Egypt, and it's totally based around like heroes and some really cool gods, and definitely could have been a really easy link to like a Thayan kind of thing, like Red Wizards sort of campaign. Imagine it's
like
because
a little Black Sun too, maybe.
It could have been Black Sun. Yeah, I mean that's definitely fair. I guess I always forget about Black Sun. Yeah, I mean certainly Wizards could have made those sets tie in with books, but I think that they understand the pacing of D&D really well.
How far ahead do they know of the next Magic?
So like the next Magic sets for 2 years are probably already being worked on, right?
But
so
when do they announce it?
They won't announce the next Magic sets for like another year, right? So like we know right now the Dominaria is coming out. We know the next set after Dominaria, which is part of the Dominaria block, and we will at this point we'll know like at least the abbreviations of the next 2. Okay. So like we have an idea of what's coming out for,
it'd be kind of fun
for this year.
If this is the way they're doing things, it'd be kind of fun to try to guess what the next D&D book will be.
And maybe that's something we need to talk with Ben about because he knows way more of the story than I do. Cool. And maybe there's some predictions that could be made there. That's a really good point.
Okay.
I have some breaking news for us.
Breaking
Breaking news.
It's breaking news right now. It'll be super old news by the time you hear this.
By the time you get this, if you haven't seen it, it's still breaking news to you. It's part of the continued Weekender today. Games Workshop, or Forge World and Games Workshop announced. Are you ready for this, Kyle?
Titanicus.
Return to Battlefleet Gothic. except it'll be set in the Heresy.
Oh my god, I love Battlefleet Gothic so much, you guys.
It'll be called Battlefleet Gothic Heresy, or Battlefleet Heresy Sea of Fire.
Okay, hold on. First things first. Is GW making it, or is Forge World making it? Because goddamn, if Forge World's making it, I'm super disappointed.
Well, okay, so Forge World is taking over all the Specialist games, including Necromunda.
Balls.
However, everything will be made in plastic going forward from Forge World.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Only the special editions being resin.
Yes.
Like they said, so basically, GW will launch the games, and then it looks like Forge World's going to manage them going forward. And so they'll do the regular releases.
A weird sort of sense, but it's
basically they're becoming specialist studios.
It's 50-50, right? Like, I'm super pumped because I love Battlefleet Gothic. I unabashedly, if Battlefleet Gothic were a woman, I would leave Jenna. I love her.
Is that good, huh?
God, I love Battlefleet Gothic.
See, I remember buying...
It was really good until the Necrons came out. The Necrons just shit all over the game, man.
I remember it back in 90, and...
Sure.
And I bought all the ships, but I never got a chance to play.
God, it's so good. If you still have the ships, I would totally...
The nice thing about the
don't.
Heresy, there'll be no Necrons.
Yeah, that's... I mean, maybe.
They're not going to put Necrons in the Heresy game with battle fleets. You know what it's going to be? It's going to be ships of the line of the Imperial Loyalist versus Traitor just duking it out.
Sure, but they'll be Eldar too.
They'll probably will be Eldar.
But it's cool and not cool, right? Because I love the idea that they're going to bring back Battlefleet Gothic, and we're going to like have starter sets for it in store. Then that'll be it.
Yeah.
We'll never be able to basically get you. That's the downside, right? With Forge World, as a store, we can't order Forge World.
No,
so we can't get you those ships, unfortunately.
The plastic ships, anything they do from all the beginning plastic will still be able to be carried in store.
Oh, okay,
even though Forge World manages
Gotcha.
it.
So Forge World's basically just going to do upgrades.
Yes.
Okay, well that makes me happier then, because we'll actually be able to get the things.
Also, they announced and did the whole preview of the new game called Titan Death.
Which is, I imagine, just Titanicus.
It is Titanicus. It's gonna all of the Titans and Knights will be in plastic. It'll also come with new plastic scenery that matches the scale.
So delicious.
They're going to have a 2-player starter box. That'll have plastic knights with scenery in the box. And the rules, they have Guy Haley is writing a new Black Library campaign book for doing Titan campaigns. They will have Warhounds, Reavers, and Warlords. The Warlord's supposed to be about the size of an Imperial Knight right now, 40k scale, which will just be glorious to build and paint.
So good! I love giant robots!
Yeah. Titans will have personalities and preferred behaviors. Will all be plastic and treated similarly to Necromunda as far as how it'll be done. Including, Ursa's Claws for Warhound Titans.
Yes!
Which, for those of you who don't know, it's a little obscure in the fluff.
So good!
It's a Legio Audix, which works with the World Leaders, and they literally wrangle and spear with giant chain spears.
They're the best kind of weapon. They're harpoon claws.
They're harpoon claws.
You shoot your fists at people, they're rocket fists.
They're also, all the plastic models have been designed with magnet holes in the kits to interchange
awesome to
multiple
see
weapon options.
This excited, Kyle.
Oh my god!
Yep.
It's so good! There's nothing that makes me more happy than giant death-dealing robots. It's like the truest expression of man at his most man is creating a giant robotic death machine to dispense just indiscriminate hatred all over the planet. I look forward to the day that we have those in reality.
They announced the legions that will be coming out. Each of the legions will have traits or chapter tactics like Space Marine legions and how they fight on the field. We have Legio Astrum, the Warp Runners. Legio, these are loyalists. Legio Defensor, the Nova Guard. Legio Solara, the Imperial Hunters. Legio Asteris, the Firebrands, and Legio Griffonicus, the War Griffins. The traitors are getting...
The cool ones, basically.
Yeah, the cool ones. The ones you all actually want to know now.
The traitors. The best.
The first one and the main theme will be Legio Mortis, the Death Heads.
I mean, how do you not have Legio Mortis? They're phenomenal.
Legio Kratos, the Godbreakers. And I'm really excited for this one, Kyle. The Fire Masters.
Legio Furion?
Yeah, too late.
They're pretty great.
So yes, this is exciting news. I also love
good stuff.
a lot.
Good stuff.
So
we're gonna take a short break, and then we're gonna hear all about CJ's trip to Las Vegas Open.
Yes.
So we'll be right back
after these messages.
This week we are going to do a whole segment because CJ just got back from LVO, or the Las Vegas Open. So we're going to talk all about his experiences.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah? We'll start at the beginning. Who'd you go with?
So I went with the Dire Gnome G, whose real name is Ben. And so,
We're not protecting his identity.
What's that?
We're not protecting his identity.
No, we're not at all. We don't protect identities here. In fact, we out people. It's like the McCarthy Committee.
Basically.
We call you out.
I try to live my life honestly, like my hero, Jim Weaver.
Yep.
It's good, honest, clean living.
There it is.
And Wyoming focused.
Yeah.
With affordable prices. Okay. Anyway.
Just super competitive prices, really.
Really? I mean, it's
great.
Yeah. Okay. Before we get off on too much of a
digress.
tangent. So went to LVO, Las Vegas Open. It is run by Frontline Gaming. Big shout out to Reese and Frankie, who run a really awesome event.
They do. And they're really actually really cool.
And they're
guys,
really cool,
They're
nice people. Like,
I've met Frankie. I met him at Ep5 last year. He was super nice.
I will say there's some celebrities in our community, no names mentioned, that aren't always the nicest people. They're just kind of arrogant jerks. Again, no names. You all probably know who they are if you've ever been to these events. But Reese and Frankie are really nice people. They're genuine. Yeah. They do a lot for this hobby. So
I would say they're paragons of the hobby.
I would say they're paragons of the hobby too.
Definitely fan crushing on them.
Nice.
Yeah, they're cool.
They host the largest 40K singles event. This year was 485 players, which is just incredible. I can tell you, when I was walking around, you have not lived till you've seen 250 40K tables ready to go, because it was a 500-person max tournament.
Yeah.
It's shocking how many. I don't even know how you organize and put out that much terrain. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, in my mind, they must have like a full-time staff of folks who are just like building and painting terrain. Basically.
Well, on one of the Frontline Gaming podcasts right before the event happened, Reese actually mentioned he only had like 5 days left and he still had to paint like 78 hills for LVO. Which sounds just like a seventh ring of hell to me. But
that feels pretty close to awful.
Yeah. You're going to go the 9th. Yeah. That's real far down. We'll settle on the 8th. How about that?
Okay.
So...
a hell compromise.
But it's the hell compromise.
Like, you just imagine, like, literally, so they hold LVO at Bally's.
Yes.
Which I've been to Bally's many times for Gamma Trade Show, which is a board game event that I generally go to every year. And I know how big it is in there, but can you just imagine the amount of time it takes to literally cart all of those tables in, and they're doing fat maps, which is nice. But still, it's a lot of neoprene to be carting around. And
keep in mind, that's 250 tables just for the 40K singles. They probably had another 50 tables of 40K, so 300 tables of 40K.
Yeah.
They had around 50 tables of Age of Sigmar trade. They still had a full Privateer Press tournament. They had a Malifaux tournament.
Yeah, I know they had
Flames, Bolt Action.
Yeah, Team Yankee. I think they probably also would have had Kings of War, I imagine.
Yes, and I know. I mean, it was just incredible. The amount of tables there, and the thing that's the biggest difference, I think it's really I haven't been to Nova Open, so I can't compare to Nova Open. But between it and Adepticon, I would say Adepticon's huge. But Adepticon is more of, I would say, a true convention in the sense that you have a lot of vendors, you have a lot of other activities going on. LVO is a gaming event. I mean, there's some vendors, but you're there to game. You're there to play.
Yeah, it's very focused.
It's very focused on that.
I definitely appreciate that.
So I played in the first day with G. We played the Age of Sigmar team tournament.
How'd that go?
Not great. Did
the bad men hurt you?
They hurt us real bad.
Way to bring that up, Keith.
Yeah, it's.
I know how tough Age of Sigmar doubles can be because I played it with G last year at Adepticon.
With the same armies, with Sylvana.
Yeah, basically the same armies almost.
So
and we also got hurt pretty bad.
It was, people did bad things to us. I need like a tree doll to show you where they touched us.
Tree doll.
Wizards would
so
not
I'll show you on the baby
policy.
I'll show you on the baby Groot.
Yeah,
where they hurt me.
Where they hurt me really badly. In the first game, I took 29 mortal wounds on turn 1 on the opening turn.
Yeah.
So I was tabled effectively by the top of turn 2. Yeah, that's what happened. It was real bad. I think G was tabled around the same time. So, and that was against Zinch and Fire Slayers.
Did they at least buy you a beer?
They didn't.
That's kind of like, that's a little
they
piece
put it in rough.
Yeah, that's a piece of con etiquette that not a lot of people know. Like, if you were just totally railing out the other team, like, be a champ and buy those guys a drink, right?
It's
like,
a good etiquette.
We were playing on Warhammer TV last year, G and I, in the AOS doubles, and we were literally just getting our faces smashed by our opponents. Ian and Kelly, and they were super nice. And you know what? They were like total heroes, and they bought us a couple beers. Like,
it was because they were you and then got you.
They were literally giving. Well, they gave us a beers like mid game because they were really aware at the top of turn 1 how this was gonna go. They were just beating us. I mean, it was basically like school bus versus toddler. There was really no competition there. No. School bus just wins.
The other ironic thing, the one that I got that was a really big, kind of funny in that game, our opponents were nice guys, but our guy G, his name's Ben Allen, and the person he played against in that game with the Fire Slayers was Ben Allen. So it was a Ben Allen off, and they were making Ben jokes. Action. Yeah,
were they making Ben jokes?
They were making Ben jokes.
That's a very Ben thing to do.
Yeah, and they were like, "May the best Ben win," or "Good luck, Ben Allen." Like, I hope you win, Ben Allen. Like stuff like that. And it was like a weird, like, super where awkward. Am I? I walked into the Twilight Zone where it's only Ben Allen's playing. So
it's kind of like Michael Jan Vincent's. Like there's 8 Michael Jan Vincents.
Yep,
but 16 quadrants.
Yeah.
And so that was game 1. Game 2, we also got destroyed. And game 3, we got destroyed. So you sensed a pattern.
So, okay, just real quick to ask. Game 3, so if you guys don't know, if you're not big tournament players, if you've lost game 1 and game 2, and you're in game 3, you are basically playing in the dregs. Like,
you are.
You are not, there's zero hope. You're basically playing for
in a 3-round tournament, loser. If you've lost 2 games...
You're done.
You're done. You could get 0 points and it won't matter.
Yeah, right. You could get full points and it won't matter.
Yeah.
How were your last round opponents?
Well, the 40K one, wait till I get to that one for last round.
Because my last round opponents, when I was playing the doubles last year, were... I'm
trying to remember my last round opponents, and that sounds terrible, but it was just like one blur of trees dying for like 10 hours of just losing in the worst ways humanly possible. Oh, yeah, it was... No, I forgot them. They...
What?
I remember them being nice guys. I had it in my mind.
That was really all I was curious about. At least they were
nice guys.
Right? Like that's important.
The scenarios were super complex.
I
felt like I needed a master's in English to even comprehend the scenarios.
I did get a look at that packet, and there was... I think the catch was there was a lot of fluff in the scenarios. Yeah. So it was kind of like, what's rules, what's fluff? Just show me what I need to read.
And they were complex. They were nothing like book missions. They weren't bad scenarios. The problem was, when you're kind of tight on time in a team game, and you're trying to read these, and they're really complex, and your opponents are trying to deploy, and there's 1,000 people all talking at high volume around you. We misunderstood something in almost every scenario. And in the last game, it actually cost us the game by not understanding something in the scenario. We didn't realize that once you control an objective within a character, the only way for the enemy to gain control of it was to kill that character.
Gotcha.
Silly us walked away from all the objectives. Whoopsie doodle.
Well,
yeah, we didn't see that part. Darn it. So that made a difference. But we won Best Painted. Yay.
I mean, that's awesome.
We were the prettiest grognards there.
The prettiest grognards. Like, we don't know how to play these games. They're roll dice. We sure are good at painting.
We can dry brush brown.
Yeah, dry brush brown. Trees
everywhere. So that was that event. And then Saturday, we just kind of hung out, did Vegas, saw some shows.
CJ&G do Vegas.
CJ&G do Vegas.
Hashtag CJ&G do Vegas. I did that with Ross last year when I took him to Gamma Trade Show. It was Kyle and Ross do Vegas.
It was good. I mean,
there's definitely some evidence of like a drunken night. I think on the store's Facebook page somewhere. There's a video.
We visited so in gaming culture nerddom, we visited the Marvel exhibit.
Ooh, where was that?
It was at Treasure Island.
Good old TI.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was a little disappointed.
In the Marvel exhibit or in Treasure Island?
Both.
That's fair.
But so the Marvel exhibit was not cheap. It was like $38 a person to get into, so it was expensive. And then when you got in, they had like 9 artifacts and then a whole bunch of TVs with like fun facts from the movie.
That's it?
Oh, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Now it was themed like you were walking through their lab, so that was cool. But so I would equate it more like I was on a movie set and less like I was actually visiting an exhibit with a lot of cool stuff from the movie.
They probably had more stuff at Madame Tussauds.
They probably did. It was not bad. I think it was a bit overpriced. I'll give you an example, not to get too far afield. We also went and visited an exhibit at Bellagio that was the history of samurai armor and warfare, and that was $18. And we saw suits of armor from samurai. They were full suits from the 11th, 12th, 13th centuries, and that was awesome. It was so good.
The random stuff you find in Vegas.
You do. That's what I love
like,
about Vegas.
Here's our exhibit at the Bellagio about samurai warriors. Like,
Yeah.
What?
Like, how did this happen? We did see a topless show, so it was a classic Vegas trip.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
I have yet to do that. Both
10 out of
times
10.
I've been to Vegas, my parents have been there.
Oh,
So you're like, hey mom,
So
wanna
Kyle, it'd be
go to
really
a
nice if
topless
we go to the
show?
I've been
Gambit
I've
trade
been
show
there
next year.
Yeah.
a lot with my parents, and the trick is you basically just got to be like, I'm gonna go walk around the mall for like 4 hours, it's like, it's terrible reception, mom and dad. I won't be able to get calls in there, so then you just reappear at the hotel. That's my tip.
That's CJ's tip to seeing
Stinking
topless
of whiskey.
shows.
Yep.
Stinking of whiskey
So,
and sadness.
Moving on to Sunday and round 2 of the rapening.
Prepare for the fucking.
The fucking began really, really badly. We played Thousand Sons, and not these cool new ones we just reviewed.
Yeah, no, the shitty ones.
We're talking
we played
about
in Adepticon.
index ones, and I didn't know a 40k army could be so bad. Like, it was, there were moments where we're like, yeah, we're doing awesome, and then like in a turn we just lose, and you're like, how did you kill our entire army? Oh, that's right, it's terrible.
It's like bringing the old Index Thousand Sons. It's kind of like bringing a knife to an atomic weapon fight.
It is.
It's just like, look out, I'm gonna stab you, and they're like, I fired my weapon like 5 minutes ago. It'll be there soon. Like,
And you know the funny thing was,
there's no hope of survival.
is opponents, they'd be like, oh no, they got 20,000 sons on the objective. What are we gonna do? It's like, oh, kill them all.
Yeah, right.
Like, accidentally,
take
they're
a
like,
dump on them.
Yeah, they're like, I thought I was gonna have to put more fire into that.
Yeah, like, oh wow, I thought those guys were actually good. Just kidding. They're pretty
They're
shitty.
terrible.
They're just double price Space Marines, it appears.
We did have Magnus, and he was great, but he was the ultimate crutch. He basically could not carry the day. So, in fact, he died by like every turn by turn 2. And yeah, it was just real bad. Let's see, our first round. I will say our opponents were not always the most engaging folks. Some of them were a little quiet.
Turns out there's some socially awkward people in gaming. Who would have known?
What? I say it ain't so. There were at least 2 out of the 6 that I would play again. I won't say names.
I will play 2 out of 6 people again.
The last game, which again was the last game, and we've lost. We literally came in 54th out of 64 teams on battle points, and like the last 7 teams of that 64 dropped and had 0 points. So we got, I think, 28 battle points, and like the winner of the tournament had like 170. Like, that gives you an idea how we did.
Super stellar.
It was real bad. And our last opponents were playing Elder, and I will say I've never played against any Elder in the new edition, and it was rough. When you have 3 squads of Dark Reapers opening up on you, and then they're Yannari, and they do the Soul Burst spell that lets them fire in the I was about to say Magic phase, but Psychic phase also.
It's interesting that you were playing on your last table. You were playing Eldar.
Yeah.
That's interesting because like Eldar, they seem like such a good army to me that it's hard not to. So like, how bad were those Eldar players?
Not great, but I mean,
they still beat you.
They did still beat us. there were so much Elder being played. Like, you just looked around and it was just. I mean, this must have been the heyday of GW selling metal Dark Reapers. Like, let me tell you, folks, if you got Dark Reapers sitting at home, put them on eBay. You are going to make money.
Yeah,
bank.
everybody's looking for like 15 Dark Reapers. I think it's like the stock setup for lists
It's
right now.
crazy.
They're really good.
It's just nuts.
They'll get FAQ.
It's like, oh, we hit and have no minuses ever, and we've got super long range, and we're like rend 3, and we do 3 damage.
Right, and they're a Latok, so you have a -1 hit.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing.
F those things.
They're really. Dark Reapers are really gross right now, but I feel like they'll probably just get super adjusted in chapter approved.
They deserve it.
Right? Like they'll get. Well, so I think this is kind of like part of the meta swing, right? Like Storm Ravens are really big, and then they got super adjusted, right?
I want all of the Elder
points.
players to suffer like I've suffered playing Thousand Sons.
Yeah.
Like, I'm bitter.
just
I'm
never
a
gonna
Chaos
happen.
Marine.
Like,
I'm bitter. I'm angry.
That's the meta part of the game, making you get to like you kind of get more in touch with your army because you just as Thousand Sons you get shit on, even though you're just trying to be a good guy, and it just makes you more in touch with how bitter
Like, you just show up and you're like, hey, we're here just to get the books. Oh, they're killing us.
Oh god. We're here for your overdue books. The other like, nope, I'm gonna shoot you with my star rockets. Fire our prism cannons.
I hate them.
They've got like, shuriken rifles. Like, quickly bedazzle them. Just shooting rhinestones and gems at you. It's so disappointing feeling.
But we won Best Painted again.
Hooray!
So you won Best Painting for both.
We did.
That's awesome.
That's a pretty good turnout.
It was pretty good. So we beat 100 other grognards in painting.
I feel like for me,
the bells
winning
of the
Best
ball.
Painting is really winning the whole thing. And
It is. I will prefer to win Best Painting over anything
I'd always
else.
rather have the hobby award.
Yeah,
like
sure.
that's me.
Me too. So for me, we did well. Now don't get me wrong. I would have liked to have done a little better at the game, just to not get raped all 3 games in a row.
Just not getting.
I didn't have to win. I just didn't want to be raped. That's the only difference. But LVO was great. The announcements, the way they did the announcements, it was like being at the Academy Awards of gaming. Like Reese was standing up there, with a dress coat on, looking really professional. They were live streaming. They had a background. They're announcing with a microphone the winners, and you come up to get your photos and your awards.
Nice.
It was really well done. Again, they're great guys. Some of the vendors, Games Workshop was there. They did a reveal. They revealed the Daughters of Cain. They revealed some 40K models.
God. I talked about the Daughters of Cain last week
So
while
pretty.
you were at LVO. Man, they're really cool. I'm still really pumped about them.
Me too. They ran Shadespire. There were 70 people for Shadespire. If you need a Shadespire copy, we've got them at our store.
It's a really good game, and next week we get the next 2 gangs for Shadespire.
Yeah.
We get the Fire Slayers and the Skaven.
And they announced they're doing a full organized play for Shadespire. So there will be like regionals and nationals, and there'll be like a world championship at
we actually
Warhammer
received
World.
the organized play kit this week.
Did we?
It came in on Friday, yeah.
Okay. So it was very popular there. There were a lot of people playing it. I really enjoyed seeing Games Workshop so involved. I mean, they were taking photos everywhere. They were doing interviews. They were watching top games, tables for Age of Sigmar and 40K.
Is this a new thing for them?
Relatively. They've only been doing this about a year, and they keep stepping it up, whereas before it was like they were contemptuous of tournaments almost.
I love New GW, and I'm so glad that they've cleaned up their act and they're not hitting me anymore, and that they actually pay attention to me at the dinner table. Yeah.
It's a born again GW.
Put down the devil's water and
Yep.
They did, yeah. They've been going to AA meetings. Like,
You're always a little worried that they'll start beating you again, but I don't know. It was good. I'd recommend it. My final tip would be that Vegas is always more ruinously expensive than you think it'll be.
Yeah.
Crazy
Especially
things,
the Strip.
Yes, especially the Strip. Crazy things happened. I was offered drugs and prostitutes. I also got hustled out of $43. So, and yeah, it was a heck of a day.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Our next convention we're going to is a local convention down in Denver called Genghis Khan. So we'll be talking about that. Probably we'll do a pre-talk and then we'll do a post-talk as
Yes.
Are we like recording that night, do you think? Or like when it's so fresh in our minds?
on Sunday night. I won't be back till Sunday evening. So
Yeah.
possibly we could record on Monday.
Okay.
Because I know me and CJ have that off as well. It's
What
a
day is
holiday.
that?
I work Monday.
It's some sort of holiday. Anyway, we'll figure
yeah,
it out.
we
I know you
digress.
guys really don't want to hear about that. So we're going
This
to
part of
move.
the podcast, we talk about scheduling for future podcast episodes.
So exciting. Let's move and talk a little pop culture.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Kyle has got me hooked.
You're welcome.
On a show. It's been out a little while called Travelers.
Couple months, yeah. And I actually got referred to the show by Mark Watkins, who's one of my good friends. And it's phenomenal. I'm on episode 9 of season 1 now.
So I think there's 2 seasons
chewing through
of
it,
Travelers
yeah.
out. So
It's so good.
yeah.
That's on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Yeah, so Travelers, kind of the basic premise is in the future, real bad stuff happens, and it's really grim. And so they are, essentially, future people are sending operatives back into the past to try and avert this huge tragedy that happens that kind of essentially is the tipping point for humanity and really makes things go down the shitter. But the cool part about how they send people back is they literally like beam your consciousness into another human right at the moment of that human's death. Mm-hmm. So you're basically like taking over someone's life who wouldn't have existed anyway.
I know
really cool.
the first episode, which I watched the pilot only so far. I was like, what the hell is going on? Until they explain a little bit more about the whole
like
whatever's
clutching your head and
happening
shrieking. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a little like jarring at first because they don't explain it. Like they leave a little bit of mystery in the first episode, right? Where they're just kind of like, oh, what the hell's happening? But at the end of the first episode, you know what's up because like they start talking about it and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. So if you want to join in the conversation, go watch that on Netflix, and I'm sure Kyle and I will be talking about it for the next few episodes.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
I just finished the show I was watching, so yeah, I'll be probably picking that one up.
What show
too,
did you
so.
just finish?
I just finished American Vandal.
Hashtag Who Did the Dicks? It's so good. Hashtag.
No, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's a real big thing.
American Vandal, fantastic. There's actually going to be another season of that too. Obviously, not following the same people.
Right.
There will be a second season of American Vandal, which I think is cool.
So it's basically like American Horror Story,
But with like dicks and butts and stuff. Yeah,
awesome.
pretty much. Yeah, it's like Dick Jokes American Horror Story.
I was laughing pretty hard at most of the episodes.
Other kind of pop culture news, I've got some cool stuff. So tying into what we talked about earlier in the episode about Battlefleet Gothic coming back, Battlefleet Gothic Armada is getting a sequel on Steam. Armada came out last year, and it is literally basically a video game version of the miniatures game. It feels almost exactly the same. You're like literally flying around giant spaceships and shooting torpedoes and broadsides at each other. It's fantastic. Should be out later on this year.
Okay.
So definitely keep an eye out if you guys want to play some Battlefleet Gothic with me. I love that game, and I would love to play it with anybody that's listening. Super excited for it.
My jam for video games this year is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh my god,
Red
Dead Redemption is so good. It's Rockstar's one of my favorite
Cowboy
companies. I love Red Dead Redemption.
Grand Theft Horse.
Yeah, it's Grand Theft Horse. Grand Theft Equine. It's so good though. Like nothing makes me happier than literally gunning down like banditos and like a bunch of train robbers and shit. That game is so fantastic.
Yeah, I actually bought the first one recently right off the store and been playing through it again just in the
so good.
anticipation
What
of
game
this.
is this?
This is Red Dead Redemption, and it is this new one is actually the third in a line of like cowboy shoot 'em ups. So think Grand Theft Auto, but on horses.
Really?
Yeah, it's basically the same thing.
Okay.
It's phenomenal, so good.
I have been playing. I'm rather boring. I only like play one game ever. Warhammer Total War 2.
Which is a phenomenal game.
It is.
Also, if you want to play that with me, I love playing that too.
But I got the new Tomb King expansion.
How is it? So I haven't tried the Tomb Kings. I've watched some Let's Plays, but I haven't tried it.
I love them. They're really hard to play.
Yeah, they're super.
I've already lost like 3 campaigns with them since it came out.
Nice.
I'm on one now that's on like turn 79, and I've just started building my empire.
So they're really kind of like a slow burn sort of.
I
action.
feel like that if you play Total War, you'll know what I mean. It's based on turns, and you kind of build up your armies and stuff. You have to get to turn probably 20 before you can even start conquering neighbors.
Gotcha. So it's really, really slow, bro.
Really, really slow. The cool thing is that none of the armies that you create cost you anything to recruit or maintain. But you can't just add a new general. You actually have to. So basically what the theme is you are digging up and awakening tombs. And when you awaken a tomb, you get the king from that tomb and the troops that come with that tomb. But unfortunately, to research the first tomb is 15 turns to research it.
Oh wow.
Then that Tomb King comes out. There's your second army, but you now have to spend all the turns raising his troops, even though they're free. I mean, what's the fastest you can raise a 20 stack? Really, like 6 turns, maybe 5 turns.
Yeah, 5-6 turns.
Yeah.
Depends on your local recruitment capacity.
So, and the problem is, I've learned why you really need to wait to get that first Tomb King, the second one you've awakened, because you have your initial character. I've been mostly playing as Tomb Queen Khalida, and I played one as Cetra.
Wiz Khalida.
Yeah, is that if you go out and fight and your first army is defeated, then you're literally defenseless because you can't raise a new general to defend against anything because that general was wounded and it takes like 4 or 5 turns before they're back. So if the enemy comes at you, you're just screwed. Like they just conquer your capital or your cities. So you need that second one to really be viable. So
Gotcha.
It's tricky. And when you play the game, when you're actually playing them, they have some really cool abilities in battle. So as your guys die, their spirits are traveling back to like the Egyptian underworld or the Chimeran underworld, and they start giving you bonuses, the gods, for everything coming to the realm. So there's 3 levels of your troops dying, and when you hit a level, it heals all the ones remaining.
Interesting.
And then on the 3rd level, you can summon a giant unit of Ushwapti, which are these big like stone statues that come to life and just start murdering stuff, and you can summon them anywhere. So they're really cool to like go murder enemy archers and artillery and
just like a really super hard hitting unit. So it's basically the only army in the game that rewards you for getting your guys killed.
It does.
All right.
Yeah.
Deal.
Okay.
I can get behind that.
I'd like to play one more game that got an announcement, video game, The Forest, which I've actually already won.
I love The Forest.
They're actually going to go out of beta into full release.
But what's left though? Right?
That's I know The
Forest. If you haven't played The Forest, it's like a survival mystery game where you kind of crash land and stranded on this island, and you have to like avoid cannibals and figure out what happens to your son because your son gets kidnapped by the cannibals.
Right. And I played through it. I finished it, and I think all they've added is a couple more craft items. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like it's kind of part of the meta of like all these games coming out for PC being in kind of a perpetual early release stage. They're all like always in perpetual beta. It seems like.
Yeah.
There's
What's
not a lot of
nice is they're
incentive to
cheap.
finish games. I mean, The Forest is. I mean, it's a good game. It's worth the like $20 or whatever that it costs. It's certainly fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not in my mind, there's not a ton of replayability in it.
No. Once I finished the story, I don't think I've played it since. So.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played it.
I intentionally forced myself not to finish it.
Sure.
For that reason, I knew as soon as I knew what the story was going to be, I wouldn't play it anymore.
Right.
That's it for this week's podcast.
That's all she wrote. Interesting. I just want to drop a quick little tidbit. We are at 5 episodes now, so we'll actually, after this one, will be available on Spotify as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
is it 5?
Yep,
all
it's
right,
5
cool.
episodes to get onto
Episodes.
Spotify. We're still available, obviously, on iTunes and YouTube. But quick shout out to everybody who's been listening to us. We really appreciate you and your support. And we really want to take this thing and make it the best thing we can. So if you guys have any kind of suggestions or comments you want to let us know, you can definitely comment down below and tell us what you think we can be doing better. And if you have any questions or things you'd like us to cover, drop a comment and let us know. We'd love to cover some stuff that's important to you guys. And if you can, like and share and subscribe us and tell a friend about us. We appreciate it, guys.
And if you are listening on iTunes, we do post this on YouTube as well. So that's where we're kind of doing our whole conversation stuff.
Yes.
So head on over to YouTube as well and join the conversation.
Drop a like.
You can also find us on our website, olympusgamesandcomics.com.
All right. See you later, guys.
See you guys.